in future endeavors.
The Senate President Godswill Akpabio has been in the eye of the storm the past few days following allegations of sexual harassment by Senator Natasha Akpotudioha. Godswill Akpabio has been trying to make it as if it's all about the Senate rules that Senator Natasha Akpotudioha broke, that the sexual harassment never happened, all this while denying her a fair hearing in the Senate. Now he has taken it to another level, to a tribal level, saying that the Niger Delta has never produced the Senate President since the past 46 years, that he will never let go of the position. He said that people from Kwara State and Adamawa State want him to lose the position, that he will fight to the end. Although Senate President Godswill Akpabio didn't mention any names, but it's obvious that he was referring to Bukola Saraki, the former Senate President, who is from Kwara State of course, and Atiku Abubakar from Adamawa State. They have called for a proper investigation in the Senate to ascertain the truth of the matter. Now Saraki has responded, saying that he never called for his resignation. He only called for a thorough investigation to get to the root of the matter, which is the normal thing to do going by common sense. Natasha Akpotudioha couldn't have made that allegation, a heavy allegation for that matter, without having evidence. If the Ethics Committee in the Senate accepted her petition and called for an investigation by putting Senate President Godswill Akpabio on the stand, they will get his own side of the story, while Senator Natasha Akpotudioha will be made to present facts. Because making such heavy allegations against someone, she wouldn't expect people to believe her just by word of mouth alone. No, she must present at least video or audio recording of Akpabio sexually harassing her. Since she claimed that Akpabio sexually harassed her 3 times, let's assume the first time she wasn't expecting it, but the second time, especially when he invited her to the guest house in Abuja by 7 p.m. and according to her, she took permission from her husband who was abroad at the time. So definitely she must have been prepared going to visit him. Of course, it was an odd hour, he wasn't in the Senate, he had nothing to do with government business. She must be wired up with a camera or an audio equipment to record the event so as to know if this man truly wants to sexually harass her again after she warned him not to sexually harass her in Uyo in his mansion. So it makes sense that she must have some sort of evidence before making this accusation. Otherwise, no one will believe her. Even a court cannot convict without convincing evidence. That's the truth. Now, let's see how former Senate President Bukola Saraki responded to Godswill Akpabio. Again, Dr. Saraki is of the firm belief that his suggestions are for the benefit of the legislative institution. So he will repeat the same suggestion no matter where the Senate President comes from and whichever party he belongs to. It is not because the incumbent is a member of the APC that the former Senate President is from the PDP or that the former is from the South Zone while the latter is from the North Central Zone. Far from it. It is disingenuous and crude to describe Dr. Saraki's comments along those primordial lines. This issue is definitely not one in which Akpabio should exploit ethnic sentiments, political division or regional proclivity. This will neither be in his own interest or that of the institution over which he is presiding. He should face the reality on ground and do what is right. The former Senate President believes that when a sensitive matter suggesting sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and mistreatment of women comes up anywhere, it evokes the pains that thousands of women across the nooks and crannies of our society experience daily. Thus, when it is raised in a place like the legislative institution, it is an opportunity for us to handle it with utmost openness and transparency to ensure that justice is not only done, but glaringly seen to be done. Once again, Dr. Saraki stands by and maintains his earlier suggestion to Akpabio and the Senate leadership on the allegations raised by the senator from Kogi State. An open, transparent and honest investigation of the allegations is still needed to ensure that the Senate is not cast in the image of an institution that is tolerant of sexual harassment, gender bias, victimization and mistreatment of women, abuse of office, and enthronement of the culture of silence. By having such an investigation, the general public and the international community will have more confidence in our legislative institution. People like Dr. Saraki have made huge sacrifices in defending the integrity of the legislative institution and will not desist in speaking up for the right thing to be done. What Godswill Akpabio is doing is Emilokon Part 2. Tinubu did it, and we know where it has brought Nigeria. The fact that Tinubu is appointing many people from his ethnicity doesn't mean that his ethnic group is better off than other Nigerians. No. He's just appointing his cronies, people he can trust, not necessarily people that are on ground, no. So despite him behaving like an ethnic supremacist, it still doesn't mean that his region is better off than others. Take for instance the foremost medical college in Nigeria, UCH. Their power supply was just restored a few weeks ago. They were without power for more than 3 months. Can you imagine? A hospital that used to treat heads of state from other countries in the 60s. Patients were bringing their inverters and batteries just to be treated in the hospital. Their power generators, can you imagine? You can also talk about Buhari. Buhari being in power for 8 years, despite being a general, his state is still ravaged by kidnapping today, by banditry, by terrorism. So the fact that your brother, your uncle, your relative is in power doesn't necessarily mean that your community, your state, your region will be paved with gold. No, it doesn't work that way. The lesson here is that many politicians don't actually give a damn about you. They treat you with disdain. They don't want to know what you're suffering from, your greatest need, that thing that will lift you economically. They don't care. And the reality is that followers made it so. If you stop taking money, bribes from politicians to go and protest, to go and do all sorts of errands for them, then it will stop them from relying on you to support them in times of need. Just like Akpabio has now been boxed in a corner, he's now talking about Niger Delta, started pushing ethnic politics, simply because he has no other where to run to. He has now remembered Niger Delta. This is a man that was former MD of Niger Delta. He was a former minister also. What did he achieve all these times? During his time at the NDDC, he was accused of sexual harassment, accused of corruption. Even his time as governor, he was accused of corruption. But here he is, now claiming, it is the turn of Niger Delta to produce Senate president. It's been long we produced it, I'm not leaving the power. As if this is the issue. This is not the issue at stake. The issue remains sexual harassment, which he has refused to address up till today. Nigerians must stop falling for the narrative of politicians. Yes, times are hard, it's understandable, man must chop. But the reality remains that your future counts better than today. Nigerians need to see the bigger picture. The more you take bribes and money from politicians, the more you motivate them to steal more money, because they now believe that they just need to acquire money, that whatever crime they commit in office, people will still back them once they give them money. So if you stop taking that money from them, you will achieve 2 things. 1, politicians will start learning their lessons. They will now realize that Nigerians no longer take money from them to go and protest on their behalf, just like what Akpabio did. Many people trooped out in Abuja protesting against Natasha. Many of them didn't even know the real story behind the accusation. They just trooped out because they were paid. So in Akwa Ibom, if they now realize that people will no longer take that money to back them no matter the crime they committed, it will force them to do the right thing. And from forcing them to do the right thing, it might reduce the corruption and the stealing, because they will now realize all this money I'm acquiring, since no one is taking that money to protest on my behalf, what do I need all this money for? So you achieve 2 things by withdrawing your support for corrupt politicians. Imagine all the money they steal if it is invested in infrastructure, like 24-hour power supply for instance. Imagine what that will do to Nigerian economy. How about bank loans for SMEs at 5% interest? Imagine young school leavers who have ideas, brilliant ideas for production. They just need to team up and acquire the loan and start production. Most politicians only remember the people when they need the people, not when the people are in need. So if you know this basic truth about Nigerian politicians, you shouldn't be pandering to them. You shouldn't be collecting that 5,000, 10,000 naira to go and protest on their behalf, when you know deep down in your heart that you are doing the wrong thing. You are enabling the corrupt politician, and you go back and pray that Nigeria should be better. How is it going to be better when you are not even doing what you're supposed to do as a good citizen? And don't fall for the narrative that all politicians are the same. No. There are nice, empathetic Nigerians everywhere in all walks of life. The only reason they don't participate in politics is because the system is rigged against nice people. These nice people will never hire thugs to rig elections or carry ballot boxes for them. No. They will never bribe INEC officials, police, army, or judges during election tribunals. No, they won't do that. Instead of wasting that money, they will use it for charitable ventures. It is better. How in the world do you expect a nice person to rig elections in order to save the people? It doesn't work that way. Instead of throwing that money away in order to save the people, why not use it directly to save the people? Give it to them in form of charity. Use it to build boreholes, build infrastructure that they lack. It's better than throwing it around in form of bribes just because you want to win an election. Anyone that does that is not going there to serve anyone. He's going there to serve himself. So don't fall for the narrative that all politicians are the same. No, they are not. People spread the narrative to make you feel that, since they are all the same, any one of them that is in power is tolerable. Let's manage the person. No, never fall for this narrative. There are nice people who cannot venture into politics because of how it is. There are no rules. It's like a jungle. So before you collect that money in future from a politician to go and defend him, carry placards and protest on his behalf, he's our son, he did nothing wrong, leave him alone, or call press conference and start speaking buzzwords to support him, think of your future, not just your future, your children's future, and the future of your children's children. You collect peanuts from them while they steal billions and trillions that would have been invested in infrastructure that will support everyone. No Nigerian should lack anything if they do the right investments. So think about all this before you take that money in future. Thanks for watching.